So this project, what we are doing now, it's like a mini version of what you would do during your own projects and what you present, right? So please confirm that you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Can't hear you.
All right. So now, the last class we started with creating the database, right? The project we are doing is a library management analytics. It's not just library because this particular library that we're talking about rents out book and they make money from it, so they want to keep it up. And you are an analyst for such library. The library wants to understand the circulation patterns, the branch workload, the staff performance, book popularity, so that will always make that book available, and impact of returns and availability, how people return books, right? So the goal is to, first of all, to build a relational model, then validate and claim the data, write SQL analysis and export the results in Excel for you to build your dashboard and show your KPIs, and then make an interactive dashboard. So those are the things we'll be covering. The last class we already created this database, and I told us that we were not able to create everything, so I told us to create the rest. This project we are working with, I'm trying to open it. We're working with 5 data sets, if I'm not mistaken. So just give me a minute. We are working with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Working with 6 data sets for this project. So I've told us that we should go ahead and create the tables by ourselves. That I've done that. I've created the rest of the tables. So I want to remove the rest of the things that are unnecessary here. So just a quick rundown. By now you should have created the tables, and if you've not, you should know how to create the tables. You've done that a lot of times. So first of all, you create the database. This particular line is for you to drop the database if it actually exists before, right? Then you create it and indicate that you want to use it. So I'll go ahead and run it. It drops it. I will recreate the database and I'll indicate that I'm using this particular database. Nice. Next is to create the books table that we'll be using. So I will drop the books table if it exists. It should not exist because we dropped this database. So we just create the books table, right? These are the constraints I've given to the books table. Okay, so I have books, the ISBN, the title, category, rental price, status, author, and publisher. Then I would go ahead and create it. Then the next table that we create is the branch table, right? Name consistently and define your primary key. So here, the branch ID is the primary key. This manager ID here would be a foreign key, right? So we'll go ahead and run this. It's created now. The next thing is the employees table, right? So over here, this is the employees table, the ID. This is a foreign key here, and that is why we indicated it with this line of code. And then the next one is the members table. So I'll run it to create it. It's created successfully. The next one is the issues table. It's created. So the issues table has 3 foreign keys, which are indicated. By now, you should know what is a foreign key. I don't want to dwell so much on the basics so that we can move on. If you don't know, you can refer back to the previous videos that we've done where we come down to explain all of these things in details. So this one is for the return status table. And I think that should be the last table, right? So now you can run all of these things just so that you view your table. So right now the tables are created but no values are inserted. That's why it is not showing any value. This is just the structure: ISBN, book title, category, rental price, status, and all of that, right? So after creating this table, the next thing you do is to import your data sets. You can either create the model or import data sets. So before I create this model, I want to import the data set and make sure that my the tables I created are running and my data set imported successfully. So to do that, I would open my I would open the tables in my Excel because I want to do some transformation there. I would like to change my date type because what SQL recognizes this date type, year, month, day. But if you open your Excel sheet, the table, the ones that have dates are appearing as day, month, year. So you have to what is it called? Change it to become in this data format before you do your import. If you don't do it, it's going to break because it's not going to recognize it, right? And okay, so I'm trying to open my data set in my Excel. Okay, so right now my books table is open. The books table does not have dates. The books table does not have dates, so I would not do anything to it. I'll go ahead and import it. So how do you import? Locate the database that we created. It's called what? What is it called? It's called let me bring this thing down. It's called library rentals. So you can search it library rentals. Search. It's not searching. Okay, let me just look through. Mm, Let me refresh it. Okay, see it here. So we did refresh. That's why it's not showing. So this is the one you use now, right? Then I'll right click. When I right click, I would see this table data import wizard. I'll click on it. Then I don't know if you're still seeing my screen. To pop out for you to search the file you want to import. So first of all, make sure that your tables are CSV format. And I think I saved all of them in CSV. But if they are saved as .xlxs, as in Excel format, please change it. You can resave it in your Excel as .csv so that it will recognize it. So you click open. I selected book from where I stored it. And then I used to see my screen. I'll click on use existing table, right? Can no longer see. This thing is what Excel does now. What's the limitation of using Telegram? One of the limitations. I've just learned a lot from using this thing for this class. Telegram has limitations in sharing screen. Once you're out of the main screen you're sharing, like a pop-up comes up, it stops showing it. So how do I do it? Stay wait to reshare it. I'm coming. Okay. You can see it now, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now you use the existing table because we are importing an existing table. If you are creating a new table, you click this option, but we are using an existing table. It's already there. So first of all, you need to check what is it picking because it will list for you a lot of things, the tables you've created, Remember, we've created the tables, it's just that there are no values in it. So what we are doing, we are importing this data to insert value inside it. Instead of doing the normal insert into that we normally do, the data set you're working with is quite large, so you cannot be inserting it one by one to take you time. So you just import. So you need to like click the appropriate table that you're importing. We are interested in the books. So you make sure that the table you are selecting is books so that they will match each other. If they don't match, it will break, right? So I'll go ahead and click next. I still see my screen, right? And then it will bring up this screen for you where you have to check if they are matching. So ISBN, this is the source column. The source column is the one you created by yourself and defined their columns and their attributes. Remember, we created table, create table, ISBN, book title. So these are the things you created. Now, these are the columns that are present in the data set you're trying to import. So you need to make sure that they match. So when you check, ISBN matches to the ISBN in the one we are trying to import. Book title matches to the one we are trying to import. All of them match, right? Now, this one is a preview of what the data set looks like. If you go through this data set in your Excel, you will see that it's actually looking like this. So everything is fine. Then you will click next. Let me maximize the screen. So you click next. And then you don't need to do anything. It's importing now. So you click on next again, and then you look at here, it's telling you finish performing tasks. If there was an error, it will tell you why it is doing that thing, that there's an error. So I'll click on next. So over here it shows you that there are 181 records imported, right? So I'll click on finish. So like this now, I'm coming. It's going to be a lot of work. I'm sharing this screen up and down. It's fine. So like this now, our table, it's imported successfully. So if you want to see if your table is inserted, remember we just inserted the books table. You will click on click books, and you will see that this is our book table. Very easy, right? Good. So we'll just do the same steps in, let's import branch. So right click, data import, go to where the thing is imported, click on my branch, open it, then do the same thing that we did, right? Do the same thing. So this is where you browse, so it will take you to where you need to pick your data from. This is where we are now. Click on next. We're interested in branch. You can see what I told you here. Use existing table. Now, if you see what is it's, you are picking branch, but it's still picking books by default. So by default, it's picking the first table you created. So you need to change it. Change it to branches so that they will match. Then I will go to next. I will check, did they match? Branch ID, yes. Manager, yes. This, yes. This, yes. Is this how my table looks like in my Excel? Yes. I'll say okay. I'll go to next, and I'll click on next. And it's imported successfully. It tells me that there are records there. I'll click finish. Good. So the next thing ahead, and we'll go ahead and do the next one, right? So data import, we're interested in the employees this time around. So I would not be resharing. It's just the same steps. I'll pick it. So this one doesn't have it still. So I'll click on next. Nice. From done. So this is just book state. Next one is next one is right again. Data is I would in this, right. Pick the members. House pass connect existing tables so that the human and this one actually has date. Days now I already do. You guys hear me? Can you hear me? My voice is breaking. Is it better now? Okay. I hope it doesn't break again. So how I told you about your data in Excel. I used in the year today. So data set you have when I sent to the group, it's in the format of day, month, year. So you need to change their format. And it's very simple. If you go to your data tab, go to text columns, click on what is it called? Once you click on text columns, you would see formatting that you can use. So this is okay for me. I would click on next. Click on next. So it's importing the data. There was no error. Good. So the next one, you can see this is a limitation from Telegram. So the next one is issues and then return status, right? Then we're done with data imports and we'll go over to data cleaning. So I will browse, click on issue status, all right, click on next, use existing table, make sure I'm selecting the issues table, like, yeah, then I'll click on next. Over here it's showing me a preview. I've also changed the date format because this one also has dates, so I've changed it to year, month, day already for myself. And then the tables are matching each other. I'll click on next, click on next. The import is going well. Imported 113 records, finish. So the last one now, the last one, which is the return status. So if you don't change this data type, the format, it will break. So I know why I'm saying it, because it's something I want you not to fall a victim to and spend hours trying to debug it. Okay, so I just want to share my screen again to this part because this is the last part. Let's do it together. So I've picked the return status table, then I go to next, then I click on use existing table, right? Make sure that the table I'm selecting is the return status table because that's what I'm importing now. Click on next, then check it. It has dates. Now the date is also in this format, year, month, day, right? And this table, it's null from my original table, like from the onset is null. And then I would click on next. I would click on next again. So it's no problem encountered. It imported 116 records. I'll finish. So that is everything for data imports, right? And we'll go ahead and then run this just to view all the tables now. So it will start from the last one, import this last one. This is the issues table, return status table rather. This is the issues, this is the members, this is the employees, this is the branches, and this is the book side, right? So the next thing I want to do, I want to create a relational, what is it called? An ERD diagram, entity relationship diagram. Entities like the table, like the books is the entity. Then it has relationships with another table. This is actually a topic on its own. Entity relationship diagram. So I will explain it when we create it so that we will not be talking in abstract terms. So what I will do, I'll go to database, I think so, yeah. Then go to reverse engineer. There are two ways to do it. Using the already made tools in MySQL or trying to do it from scratch by yourself. We'll try to do both of them. Or normally I do use this reverse engineer. It's been a long while I started creating it from scratch. But we'll try to do everything. So this one step, click on reverse engineer. I know my screen must have stopped sharing. Okay, it's still showing. Let me see. I want to make sure that it's sharing to the right part. Okay, yeah. So this is where I am. So now it's telling me this is what all these places are okay for me. I'll click on next. It will tell me connect. Click on next. So now select the schema you want to include. You can see my screen, right? You can still see my screen, right? Can you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now these are the list of many databases I've created. So you just select the one you're interested in, which is this library rentals. Make sure you select the right one. Then you click on next. So it tells you that it has retrieved it successfully. Click on next. So it tells you that there are 6 total objects, which are the 6 data sets we imported that we're working with. So you click on execute and it's placing them. So you click on next again, finish. So you can still see my screen, right? So this is the entity relationship diagram. This is the entity relationship diagram. And I would explain. I would explain. I want to be sure that the right screen is what is showing. It's not even showing. Uh, yeah, I got you. Okay, so after going through all those prompts, this is what the output looks like, right? So now, this is an entity relationship diagram that you create. What it does for you is that it shows you visually the relationships between the tables that you imported, because we are working with 6 tables, and for some tables we made there are foreign keys, right? So now I want to use this thing to explain. This is the branch table. This branch table now, this is the employees table. So it has a relationship with the employees table. How? It has a relationship because this is the branch ID, which is a primary key for the branches table. But when it comes to the employees table, it becomes a foreign key. This is it again appearing here. Remember, we said that a foreign key is a primary key in another table. So this is it here, and this is the relationship. This relationship is one to many. You can know by this line over here. This one is 3, like it has wings. So this is like one to many. One branch has many employees. That's what it means. One branch has many employees. So now, if you want to check the relationship between return status and employees, there is no direct relationship between the return status and employees. That is why there is no line connecting the both of them. The only way that the return status becomes related to the employees table is because this issues ID has a relationship with this place, because the what's the relationship? This is the issued status employee ID. This is member ID. This is employee ID. So I want to shift these things well so I can see my table well. Okay. Okay. So it's kind of confusing now. So I want to position it well so that we can see the relationships clearly without second guessing them. Then I will bring this one up. I want to turn this side off so that we have more space. Turn this side off so that we have more space. Okay, so I think we have more space now. Right. Bring this one up. just so that we can see their relationships. Okay, yeah. So to actually arrange this thing to you, because if you go on LinkedIn, you see people showing you their ERD that they used, and it looks so arranged, so beautiful. So it's actually something you calm down to just place them, so that at a glance you can actually see what you're working with. Okay, so you can see that this thing is telling us that one way or the other, all these tables are related to each other. Why is it possible? It's possible because of foreign keys. If we don't include the primary ID of one table inside another table, these relationships cannot take place. So it's only possible because in the case of branch ID, this is the branch, in the case of branches, this is the branch ID, this is the return status. So this is not giving me. Okay, yes, I think it should be here. In the case of the branches, it's related to the employees because this is the branch ID as primary key here. Under employees, it forms a foreign key, right? Then if you check for employees, how does um employees table relate to this table? This table is called the issues table because of foreign key too. So this is the employee ID here as a foreign key inside the issues table. Under the employees table, it is the primary key. So that's the essence of primary key and foreign key. They help us relationships between my screen is blank, just white. I'm not sure. No. The screen that is sharing is showing what I'm doing. Is she the only one experiencing this issue? Or there are other persons? I can see it now. Okay.
It's showing here.
So this is the entity relationship diagram. Once you define the main thing, what you for the project that you are doing, there are some people that are working with three tables. There are some people that are working with a table. So if you're working with one table, you will not need to submit this part. But if your table is three, you will need to show me the entity relationship diagram, right? So once you're able to define your foreign keys and primary keys well, as you were creating the tables, you should not have issue getting this part of the work done because it's actually important. At a glance, somebody can see how your tables are related. So now the next thing we'll do is data cleaning. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Okay, so everything is clear. Okay, if everything is clear.
Hi, mine is not really a question. I missed the first part of the relationship aspect because due to my network. So I'm not, is the video being recorded? Because I've been checking the YouTube channel and only one video of the SQL class has been uploaded so far.
Okay, yes, the video is being recorded.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Thank you.
recorded. So, is that Hafsa who was speaking?
Hafsa.
Okay. So I would share my screen to our workbench. This just give me a minute. I'm not seeing my. How did you handle the data part? The date part. Okay, I said you should go to. You should go to. You handle it from your Excel. You can change it from your Excel before import so that it doesn't break. Okay, I think this is where we are. No. Yeah. So this is the data model. This is where the ER diagram. So this is here. So this is what we have now. So I said you need to change the format of your date to year, month, day. Ordinarily, it will be in the day, month, year. So you need to like change it to year. And how you do it is that you do that in Excel. Do it before you import. If you don't do it before you import, it's going to break, right? So this table is relatively clean. Like there is not much cleaning to be done, but we'll just attempt to do some cleaning so that you have an idea of how to clean your tables in scale. So now there are the way I've done this thing, this part of the query, I'm trying to be how they say it, explain how your submission of assignments should come. So I would like to see this part, which is for database and table creation. You save it. If you click on Control S now, you would see, or go to your file, you would see save scripts. That's, you save it inside the folder you're working with. So the name would be what is it called? Table, database, and schema creation, right? Something like that. Now, if you want to start cleaning, you you start afresh, like put screen, and you still indicate that you are using the library rentals, because we want to see how you created your table, how you cleaned it. So this is a new screen that is showing, right? I'm starting here because if I finish cleaning, I would save it as data cleaning. Then if I want to start answering the question, I'll start another blank script. Then after writing the script, I'll still save it as the problems or the business problem, answering business questions, something in that nature. So I would expect to see multiple SQL scripts that show the step-by-step process of what you are doing. So now, this part is for data cleaning. Okay. Yeah. So first of all, I want to trim the white space from the text columns. So to do that, we'll start with the dates. Remember when we were doing DDL, talked about updates. So the name of the table we are cleaning is books, and we want to set title. I think it should be book title. Set it to trim. Remember when we talked about trim in Excel, right? I still remember. Trim, what does it do? It removes the white space from beginning or ending of your text. There's the arrow trim and there's the left trim in Excel. But we want to do everything once. Whether there's a space before the word or there's a space after the word, you should trim it off. Then not only the book title, we are doing it for all the text. So you do it for all your text values. Then you should also do it for publisher. Trim publisher. Yeah. So now we're having these errors because we are missing a comma, and then terminate it. So this thing takes time. You know we have 6 tables, so that means you have to be checking throughout your 6 tables to see the ones that are text and then clean them. So you run. So if you run it now, how you would know it's successful? It's from here. Let's put this pin up a bit. So it says we are using safe update mode without where. Sets error. Can I just save update mode and try to update the table without a where that uses a I want to see the complete error message. So I'll paste it here. Aware I use the key column to disable save mode toggle the option in preferences. Okay, so I'll check. Okay, give me a minute. This error should not be showing. So I need to know if our safe mode is enabled. I'll do the same thing for another table just to make sure the error is not coming from this particular table. So I'll check another table. So books is virtual. What again did we? Authors. Author publisher still virtual. Category. I'll copy all of these that have virtual. Okay, so NEPA light went off in my side and my router tripped off. So this is where we are. The error I copied all the parts that had virtual, ISBN, book title. Okay. Okay. So like I said, this is something that you take time to do, knowing that you're working with a lot of columns. So normally I would just clean this thing in Excel, right? Because you can easily just trim off the white space, perform all your data cleaning inside Excel. You don't need to type out all of these things because, of course, it's going to be easier for you to clean them in Excel. So you see where Excel comes in handy. When somebody says they are doing an end-to-end project with SQL and Excel, most times they just use Excel to do most of these other tasks that is very tedious in MySQL. You trim it, you do your cleaning using Power Query in Excel, then import your clean data inside MySQL. I guess it's been long I used MySQL for data cleaning. That is why I'm running into this error. Try to figure it out. Okay, so this is, come on, run it. Do you run? Okay. Trim does not exist. Okay. It's still the same update mode. So I'll just go and try to do what we are required. So I'll try to disable the safe mode. See if I'm able to do that. Trim, continue SQL scripts, previous status, limit rows, not here, object editors, query editor. Safe mode, use SQL code to use and generate that script. I'm not seeing the options for safe mode. Okay. So this is where I am. Ordinarily, the safe mode option should be here to disable it, but it's not showing here. I'll see if I can. This is save snapshot, safe mode. Okay, so this is why I would have done my cleaning using. Okay, objects, execution. Wow. Okay, so since I'm not seeing that option there, would attempt to run it. Set SQL save. Guys, it's been long I use this thing for cleaning. I will do my cleaning with Excel, Power Query, import it into SQL and do my thing. So that's why. Okay, so now we set it to, we disabled it, and then I will run this and see what happens. Okay, yeah. So we have it running now. So if I finish this class, I'm still going to set it to 1 because I need to like make proper research the consequences of unchecking your safe mode. I just unchecked it so that we can continue with the class seamlessly. Like I said, normally I would just do my cleaning in my Power Query editor in Excel. After doing it, then I import the clean data into SQL. Well, I wanted us to do the cleaning in MySQL so that you have an idea of how to clean data, right? So after the class, I would still like check this thing, just change it to 1 to turn the safe mode on, then make proper research on what turning off safe mode actually does, because I know it must have implications. So this is to trim, so it's running now, it's all trimmed. If there were white spaces, then they should be clear now. So I'll comment this one out, and then you do the same thing for the rest of the tables. So the table, I will not go ahead to conclude it. There's actually no white space in this data set that we're using. I decided to do it just to show us. So if you want to clean the branch ID, you would still just copy all of these things, right? Copy them, then come back to your data cleaning script, paste it, update. The table we're updating now is branches table. Sorry, branches table. And then set all of these things. So you can set this just like what we did before, equal to trim and all of that, right? Like I said, this table does not need trimming, so I'll just comment this thing out so you can move forward. So if your table actually needs cleaning, how would you know if it needs cleaning? You need to show your, after, remember, select everything from your table, do a visual inspection and see the cleaning that needs to be done, then you start applying it. Then so you update all of them, like trim them. Then the next thing, you can actually remember the data cleaning we did when we were trying to remove dollar signs and all of that. You can also do them if your data set has something like that. This data set does not, but I just want to do it just so that we. So you select, first of all, let's select everything from rental status, I think. The table is not rental status. Table name is rental status. Library rentals. Okay. Same still does not exist. This is rental status. So why is this telling us that does not exist? Select everything from rental status. Saying table library rentals. Rental status doesn't exist. Why? This is it. Select everything from. Oh, my, thank you. Yeah, it's returned. Yeah. It's true. It's returned. So you can see. Oh my word. Yeah. So this is what you are trying. It's actually return status. Thank you for pointing that. I would have just been here trying to debug what I don't know. So I'm trying to see the actual table that has price, and I think the table is rental status. This is issues. Members. This is employees. This is books. Okay, so the rental price is in the books. So we know that we are working with books table. So now, like I said, there is no dollar sign here. So it, there's no need to actually do what we are doing now. But me doing it is just me trying to point out. So you're on your own when you're trying to do your project. You're going to do a lot of research, right? How to clean maybe this rental price. Some of them are carrying dollar sign, others are carrying naira sign, others are carrying pound sign. So you would need to like clean them. So you still use updates. So we are updating the books table, and this time around we are setting rental price to what cast. So I'll explain what cast does. Inside cast we have replace, and then working with rental price, and what we are trying to replace, what is it called, the dollar. So over here now you can now start putting all of those things you are trying to replace. If there is something like this, we want to replace it with a comma. I hope this is correct. I say as decimals, maximum of 8 digits and 2 decimal places. So we're having an error here. Mm, let's continue. We'll come back. I want to say is not equal to 0. Okay, so the error is coming from here. So this decimal. Okay, now, so the remember what we are doing here is already in decimal, right? Okay. So now let's explain what we are doing here. Remember what we are saying, that we we are cleaning numbers this time around. Trim is to trim the text function. So now we are interested in cleaning the numbers. And when we were doing Excel, we talked about in details the different scenarios of cleaning that can come with numbers. First of all, you might want to change the data type of a number from whole number to decimal, right? And that is where this one comes from. So I'll take it one by one. First of all, you have cast. So when you use cast, you are saying you want to convert a data type from one type of data type to another. So this is where the cast started. It's cast. The expression for cast is usually, I'll write it out so that you can understand. The expression for cast is usually this. Cast the expression you want to cast as maybe decimal, then not necessarily decimal, the data type you're interested in. So in our own case, so first of all, indicate cast, then you talk about what you are trying to cast. Are you trying to cast from string to integer? Maybe the number, you know that sometimes when you import a number, by default, it's showing as a string. Meanwhile, that number should be a whole number. So if that number is a string, you write that particular thing you're trying to cast, and then you talk about integer. Instead of decimal, you now use integer of, or if you want to cast an integer to string, instead of decimal, what will now be here will be the string. Maybe in terms of phone numbers, remember, or numbers that cannot be aggregated. We already talked about this, how to convert, when to convert something to string, when to convert it to whole number, and all of that during our Excel class. So we'll not go into it. So this cast is to convert something from one data type to another. What are we casting? We are casting rental price, right? But then this rental price, we're also interested in, if there is a dollar sign, please remove it and just um replace it with nothing, not a comma. If there's a dollar sign, replace it with nothing, and then we are casting this thing as a decimal, and then we are saying this decimal should have maximum of 8 whole numbers and maximum of 2 decimal places. If it passes this thing, it will not run, right? And then this is another condition where the rental price is not known. So we're interested in places where rental price has values, because if you don't indicate it, it will break because it have no values. Then the rental price is not equal to 0. So if it is equal to 0, don't apply. Remember the rule of AND. There is AND, there is OR, there is not. So where this one is not equal to 0. So let's run. So it tells us that the syntax is wrong, and that's because we did not terminate it here. So it doesn't know it has ended there. So we run again. So it has successfully run. Did you understand what I mean by we didn't terminate it? So we didn't put this semicolon, and then it would see this part of the query as a part of the thing. So you need to like terminate it here to indicate that this part is not among. So I'll just go ahead and comment this one out. So now it's done. If you still select everything, or rather let's run the one we wrote before. Select everything from books. It's still showing us in 2 decimal places. I think what we had before, was it 1 decimal place? No, I can't remember. But then if we had indicated this thing to cast it to three decimal places, let's see if there'll be a change. Instead of two, we use three. Then select everything from books. So it's still in two decimal places, probably because the maximum is 2. So if your numbers were a whole number or the data type were not correct, you can use this to actually change it. Then um, there's another thing we would need to do. Our phone numbers, right? They are appearing in scientific notation. Where is the table that has phone number? So this is something that you also change in Excel. You need to like force this thing to be a text in Excel before importing it. Because the way it is now, you cannot really view these phone numbers because they are long. It's showing it as a scientific notation. So before you import your data set, you would have to like check, like change this into text. If it's only when it is changed to text format that it will in Excel that it will appear as your phone number format. Right now, if you see this contact is we gave you the data type of text varchar actually, but then because it's too long, it's showing as a scientific notation. So that's why you need to change it in Excel before you import your data set. So there are two things: change your date of birth, the date, and then if there's phone number, also change it in Excel before doing the import. If you would like to see your phone number appeared in its format, because the way it is here, it is approximated, right? So I'll take a look and see if there is any other cleaning that, so no. So I think there is no other cleaning. So after that, the next thing we need to do is data quality checks, right? Data quality checks. So I'll save this, save as um I'm saving it in my folder. So the data quality checks, I would do another screen. So why did you do data quality checks? You want to see that table you imported and the relationships you created between your primary key and foreign key are actually giving you the right answer. Can you guys hear me? Hello? Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, we can.
So you got the part of data quality checks. Explanation of data quality checks. So you check, um, you do data quality checks. Why? Remember, you're working with different tables. This is actually important for people that are working with a lot of tables. And now you've created, first of all, you're working with many tables. And now there's relationship between those tables where some keys that are primary key become foreign key in another table, meaning making those tables related in some way. Now, there are some cases where the there are missing or duplicated or mismatched IDs. So you want to make sure that, okay, I think I will just run this. You want to make sure that, for instance, the issues table has, select everything, select everything from issue, select everything from members. Why is this throwing up an error? Select everything from issue, run it. Okay, so this is for issues. Okay, now, so take a look at this. This is the member ID. This is the primary key on each table. Now, when we go to the issues table, there's also a member, is there? So there's also a member ID. So we want to make sure that the member IDs that are appearing here are actually the member IDs that are here. So that's the mapping, that they are mapped. So that's the essence of the quality checks. Instead of running everything one by one, you can actually try to view. Remember why we're doing a left join. Pull out everything from the left table, which is the table that is indicated first, and then what it has in common with the right table. So remember your left join. So go ahead and run this one. It's actually supposed to, so it says issues. So this is what we are having, right? And so everything is mapped. Meanwhile, if you go to this, your issues table, you run it, you can see that for each ID, issued ID, there is an appropriate issue date. It is normal. So if it's normal, not if there are issues with your table, it's going to pull out those values for you. Okay. So now you can say where member.member ID is no. So now what, without this line, what it showed us is, without this line, what is showing us is all the tables where there are no issues. So which is what we are not interested in. We are interested in, are there rows that are not meant to appear, that are not mapped out to show, so that we don't have to like be going through everything. So that's where you include this condition. So when you run it, you're not meant to get any row. If you get any row, any return, that means your table has quality issues. So what this thing means, you are saying, show me all the records in the issues table where the issue member ID does not exist in the members table, where the issue ID does not exist in the members table. So if a row shows up here, it means that there's an issue that references a member who does not exist, right? So if our issues table is referencing a member that does not exist in the original table, which is the members table, that means there is a problem. So meaning that everybody it is referencing must be contained in the original table. Let me go again. We are working with two tables, issues tables and members table. So we are trying to check that everybody that is mapped out in this issues table, it's actually existing in the members table. All these people here, we want to make sure that these issues, all these members here, that they are existing actually in this members table, right? That they are existing in this members table. So if we run this our query, we are trying to say, okay, are there people who are not in the members table that our issues table is referencing to? Because it cannot make sense that people who are not members are being referenced in our table. That's a data quality issue. Maybe it's an entry issue. Somebody entered somebody who is not a member of the library. So that's what you're trying to check. You're trying to check that everybody who is being referenced by the issues table is actually somebody that is real, an existing member. So because it returns no row, it means that our table is okay. There is no issue with it. So you can do that for all of the tables where there's a relationship. We've done for issues and members now, right? The next thing you can check for is you can check if there is a data quality issue between the return status and books ID, where you will now, instead of, you would use the return status as your left table and then the books table as your right table. Then what is their common ID here? There is the return ID here. There is is there a relationship between these two tables directly? Okay, ISBN. So you use ISBN, right? What we used was the member ID. For these two tables, the common thing, the common column is this member ID appearing here. This is it again. So for these two things, if you want to check data quality for two of them, you bank on the two columns that both of them have in common, which is ISBN and the ISBN. So you are trying to say that, okay, make sure that the books that are being recorded in the return status are actually existing books in the books table itself, right? So that is for it. So that's how you do your data quality checks, right? And then, so these are the preliminary things you do before you go into your business model. At least, if not for anything, it's one of the things you do in production, in real life, because most times, if you are doing your personal projects, nobody really sees these things. Nobody really sees all these behind the scenes things that you do, checking your data quality, making sure that they are mapped well. But then where it becomes a problem is if you're working with somebody's real life data sets and you don't check if there's an issue with your data and the relationships that you created, you go ahead and keep running. You know you are going to make mistakes and it's going to cost people their money. So that's why you need to check these things on your own, because nobody is going to tell you to check them. Okay, so I think that is all, at least at this stage. So we'll go into the business problems proper. So I'm expecting to see also a script for your data quality checks, especially for people who are working with more than one data set, right? I'm also expecting to see your script on data quality checks. So I would continue on this script, but for you would, to answer the business question, you will start on another blank one. So this one is for business questions. And for question one, the problem is on problem We are interested in knowing about how books circulate. Books circulation and knowing popular books, right? So the question is, which books are most frequently borrowed? Which ones have the highest rental revenue? It's very important that you answer this question. Why? Because the library management wants to see which books people like to borrow most. They will make sure that those books are always available, right? Then they also want to check that, okay, those books have been borrowed most, how they generate revenue for them. So books are borrowed most and which books have the highest rental price. Okay, so first of all, we start with the first one. Top books by borrow count. So to do that, first of all, we know we have to select the book. We need to see the ISBN of the book. We need to see the book title of those book. Book title. We need to see the count. How many times they were borrowed? So we use count. Then issued ID. So now, why are we using this particular one? This question is talking about books and borrowing. If you check the books table, it does not give you information on how many times they were issued out. If you check the books table, it does not give you how many times each book was issued out. You can only get that information from the issued table. So now you need to do a join. So this is where join comes in, because the question you are trying to answer, you cannot use one single table to answer it. To answer that question correctly, you need to use two or more tables. So you do a join. Do you get? So now, when we do this, we give it an alias as the loan count, because that is how many times were they given out. So now, we pick from the issues table, give it an alias of I, and then we join, right? We join on books, give it an alias of B, and we are joining on what they have in common. And what they should have in common is what? ISBN, if I'm not mistaken, right? So we have ISBN, book ISBN. Okay, so because we gave this an alias of I, we need to indicate that this one is coming from the issues table. The book title is also coming from, is it coming? It's coming from the book table. The book title is coming from the book table as well. Only this issued ID is coming from the issues table, right? So do a group by, we are grouping by the these two, and we order by the loan count. We are ordering it in descending order because we want to see the highest count first. So we limit it to the top 20 books, top 20 borrowed books. Okay, so now we'll run this. So it's breaking, it's telling us there is no such thing as book ISBN. So you need to check the correct. This is the books table. It's just ISBN. Then check the issues table. It's written as issued book ISBN. Issued book ISBN. Issued book ISBN. Okay, so now this is the query. This is our results. So I'm going to explain this thing again. First of all, we are interested in this output. So these are the books that are the top borrowed books. The Great Gatsby, this is the ISBN. This is how many times they have been borrowed. 3 times. The Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, borrowed 3 times. Animal Farm, borrowed 3 times. And the rest of them to kill a mockingbird, right? So now these are the top 20 borrowed books, which is what we are interested in seeing. So how did I come about this output? First of all, you start with your select statement. Remember, your select statement is to show you the output of, like, everything you want to see the output should be contained in your select statement. In this case, we want to see the ISBN of that book. We want to see the book title for that book. We want to see how many times that book have been borrowed. That's why we use the count. And I already said that if you want to answer this question with the books table alone, you cannot do it. Why? Because that books table over here, the books table over here, does not show you how many times these books have been issued out before, right? It only tells you the details about the book. So you cannot really know how many times the books have been issued out. The only way if you want to know, you might try to use this status, where status is equal to yes. That could be another way. But if you want to see a complete information, you should use the issued table, which shows you all the books that have been issued out so far, right? So that's why you use a join. Now, what kind of join did we use? We used this join. Remember, I told us that by default, an ordinary join is an inner join. We treated joins in our last 2 classes. Once it is not indicated as left or right, it is inner join. So this inner join, what does it do? It just picks the intersection, what they have in common. So it's interested in actually books that exist in the books table and books that have been issued out. So if there are books that are in the books table and they have never been issued out before, it does not have any business with it. What it is interested in, so far the both records exist on both, to look at it. Now, the criteria for it to be displayed is that it must be among the top 20. That's why you limit it. If I remove this limit, it will list out all the books and how many times they have been borrowed. So these are all the books and how many times they have been borrowed. There are ones that have been borrowed just once. So that your limit is what tells it like how many should be displayed. If I just put 5, it will just give me 5. So we'll leave it at top 20, right? So now this is my output. If you have gone through your assignment, you would see that this is an end-to-end project, meaning you need to work closely with SQL and Excel in this case. So when your results have been outputted, you can click on this export. So when you click on export, I want to reshare my screen. So okay, you're still seeing it. So when you click on this export, you can now locate the place you want to save it. So you save it as top 20 books. So now I've exported it as a CSV file. It's saved in that folder. If I open it in Excel, I will now use that table to create my bar chart. I'll just use pivot table to summarize it, then use my bar chart to visualize it, finish. So that's the end to end. When you output something, you export it, and then you use your Excel to do the visualization. After everything, you then create your dashboard. That is what this project demands from you. First of all, being able to write the correct SQL query and understanding it, right? Remember, it's not enough for you to just write SQL queries. There's going to be a presentation where you explain to us why you wrote what you wrote, being able to defend what you wrote. So that's why if you have questions as we are going on in this class, ask them now. Don't keep quiet. So now this one is the top 20 borrowed books by their number of borrowed times. So now we want to do it by the number of times that they have been issued out, like their rental value. So before I do that, I want to put something into consideration. Select everything from books. I will run it. So if I run it now, I'm seeing that this rental price is for one, like this, for this particular book where the wild things are. The rental price is 3.50 naira. Let's just use naira. This rental price is per, like, if you borrow it once, it's 3.5. If you borrow it 2 times, it becomes 7 naira. If you borrow it 3 times, it becomes how much? 11.5, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yes, 10.5. So you will need to do a calculation that will give you the total revenue generated according to the number of borrowed times. I'm going to write an SQL query and explain what I mean. So I would still copy everything, except that this time around I'll copy this because it's basically the same thing, just that I'll change a few things. Okay, so I'm interested now. I'm interested both in the ISBN, I'm interested in the book title, and I'm interested in the count, how many times it has been borrowed. Then I'm also interested again in the sum of the rental price. Remember, everything you want to be displayed in your output must appear in your select statement. So say revenue, revenue generated, and of course it should come from the issues table. Join it on the books. We group by the same thing, and then this time around we will not order by loan count because our main aim here is now the revenue, the ones that generates revenue most. So we change it to revenue and we run it. Okay, so now this is the Great Gatsby. If I go back to my books table, I want to show you something. Let me run this. Let me look for the Great Gatsby here. I hope it's not too far to look for. I want to check the rental price. Okay, instead of doing that, I can just use a where title equals the Great Gatsby. So select, yeah, Okay, so the Great Gatsby, it's the rental price is eight. So let's say 8 naira. That's what I want to see. So if I go back to this query, you would see that this is the revenue is 24. That's what I want to show you. The loan count is 3. Each borrowed time is 8 naira. Then because it has been borrowed 3, that's why it's showing as 24. I don't know if you get the maths that we did there. And the only way it was able to do that is because of this particular one. Because of this particular thing here. If you don't want to do it this way, you can actually do a custom calculation. You can say, what is it called? Rental price. Multiply by count loan. By loan counts. Loan counts. Right? And you give it an alias of revenue. This runs. That's revenue. Okay, so let's see if there's an error in our syntax. No, there is not. So I'll run it and see. Okay, so it says unknown column loan count. I don't think we can use an aggregated value to to okay. So this is actually more complex than what we had before. So the sum is just the easiest way to do it. I'm just trying to see if there's a workaround. Okay, yeah. So it still gives you the same output, 24 naira with this custom calculation we did here. So this is just tell you that you can actually do the calculation if you don't know the function to use. So I already know by what I explained to you that the rental price for each one might be 8 naira. But to know the actual revenue that is generated for that particular book based on the loan count, you need to do a multiplication so that it will be the loan count multiplied the actual price per borrowed times. So this time around, this is the rental price, which is 8 naira. Then over here, it will do the count of how many times that book was issued. So it will multiply it. In this case, this is 3. And that's why we're having 24 here. Remember, if you still use your sum rental price, it will still give you the same answer, right? So we now give it an alias of revenue. So you can now do your top. So these are the top 20 books that generate revenue for this particular library system. These are the books. So if you are a librarian or you're part of the management team, you would always make sure that these books or the likes of these books are always available. It's just like algorithm in Facebook or Instagram. Those posts you like most would always be directed towards you to keep your engagement, to keep you there, to keep you glued. So if I am part of the management team, this team will help me to say that, okay, people actually like these books. If I want to go further, I can actually indicate the category of these books falls in. So I can come here and say, also give me books dot category so that I will know. Okay, so I would see that, okay, there's classic, fantasy, history. So you can actually now, if you want to know by category, to know the category of books that are being borrowed most by people, you can now do your counts instead of on issued. You can do it based on the category. There's a lot of things you can do with your data. This is now me thinking outside the question that we have been asked now. So if I'm to do this thing as the analyst, there's a lot of questions, even questions that were not given to me by maybe the management that I can answer just to make more informed decisions for them. That is you going out of your way to show that you actually know your job, right? So this is one part of the question. The way this thing is appeared here, you can do what? You can export it, remember, because you need it for your visualization in Excel. So if you run each export, save it with a name that you know you can remember when you are doing your stuff so you don't get confused. Okay, so I can export this and save it as top 20 books by revenue, right? I'll save. So it's saved now. It's saved as an Excel, what is it called? Dot CSV file. So um the next one, next problem. This time around, I want to talk about the member activity and top. The one we answered is about the books. Now, who are these? Who are the top borrowers of these books? Right? Maybe you start giving them coupons, making some books free to them because it will make them to come back. You don't want to lose them. So there's actually a group that will be working on customer churn. Customer churn is like people that are patronizing your business at some point they will not return. If I am an Airtel user, okay, yes, I'm going to use this example. Like I used to have issue with network, so it's Airtel connecting to my phone and my system and many devices that I use. So when I wanted to buy router, instead of buying Airtel router, I bought MTN router. And if I continue using this MTN router and the network is very good for me, I might now decide to stop using Airtel. I have churned. So Airtel has lost a customer in me because I don't find their services satisfactory. So I have churned. Now, this this particular question we are trying to solve, we are not just answering queries because we want to answer queries. We're answering queries that touch business, that help a business to grow. So you are trying to know the member activity, to know those people who are actually the active members, and make it your possible best to keep them, to retain them, or even get them to do referrals for you so that people can come, other people can come again through them. So you need to make the services they receive very seamless. So first of all, the first step is to identify those people. That's why we're answering this question. So the question, um, which members which members borrow the most, and what is the average borrowing frequency? Okay, so borrowing frequency per member, first of all. So now this particular question, we're interested in the, of course, we are interested in the members table, but the members table alone cannot give us the whole question because we like cannot give us the whole answer to the question. Why? If we select everything from the members, this will help you to know if you are going to do a join and the kind of join you should do. So this is the members table. There's member ID, there's their name, there's their address, and there's the registration date, the date they registered with that library. It does not give you information of how many times have they borrowed books. Does it? No. So you in your mind, you already know that okay, one table is not sufficient for me to answer this question. It has to involve another table. So you start checking which other table can I use to know how many times that members have borrowed books. So you refer to the issues table. So this issues table has the member ID. So it can actually tell you how many times those people have borrowed books. So now in your mind, you know you're working with the members table and the issues table. So the next thing that means a join. So you now have to decide what kind of join should I do, right? So let's now take it step by step. So first of all, we need member ID. We need member ID. We need their names. We need the count of issued IG. How many times they have been issued books? Then as loan count. Is that all we need? We need the first date that they got issued books. Issued dates. So because it's not this, you can actually be indenting this thing just so that it stops running out of the page. You can make it this way. It keeps it readable and you can take a look at your select statement at once. So the minimum as first issue. First time they were issued books. Then we have marks. The last time they were issued books. Okay, I think that is all we need for our table, right? So these are the things that will be displayed from the table. So now let's start the joins. So first of all, we are pulling information from the members table, which we give an alias of M, members table, and then we do a join, right? So what kind of join are we doing now? What kind of join are we doing? Remember, we have left join, we have right join, we have inner join. So you need to understand your question to know the kind of join you should do. We are going to do a left join here. Why? Because we're interested in pulling everything from the members and then what they have in common with the issued books. Why? Okay. Why is that? There might be members that have never borrowed books. So in that case, it will list everything in the members table, both those that are borrowed, both those that have not borrowed, right? And also list what they have in common with the issues table. So those members that have not borrowed, it will return them as null in their rows for the issues. We would see it play out now. So we have left join and we have issues, which will give an alias of I. So we're joining on what they have in common should be the members table, M dot member ID. That's I dot this, and then we need to do a group by. We're grouping by the ID and the name. We also do an order by because we want to sort it based on how many times they have borrowed. We sort order by loan count in descending order. So before I see the top borrowers, I would run everything. So before you run, if you run this thing now, we are going to run into an error. It's actually run, but we are meant to like indicate for these columns where they are to be pulled out from, so that it would know the correct table to reference from. So this members ID is from members table, members name is from the members table, the issued ID is from the I table, issue date is from the I table as well. This is also from the I table. And yeah, okay, so now we run. All right. So now, so these are what we have. It started from those who have the highest loan count because we ordered by the loan count. This is the first time the person borrowed a book, and this is the last time the person borrowed a book. He borrowed book in March, and the last time was in April. Well, that's because that's how the data set was structured. So now I'm going to explain some things, right? Okay, so now let's do some explanation using our output. I did not do any limits. So it's showing me everybody, like all the members. These are all the members that are contained in the table. Whether they are borrowed, whether they have not borrowed, everybody is here. Now, how you would know people who have actually borrowed is when you are looking at their loan counts, the first time they borrowed and the last time they borrowed. So it is left join that made it possible for all the members to be displayed, whether they borrowed or they did not borrow. Let's do that for us, right? If we use an inner join, it will only pull out values of those who have who are contained in the issue table and in the members table, meaning only those who have borrowed books, not interested in those who have never borrowed. That is why, because we use a left join, it will everything in the table, both those that are borrowed. So on your own, you can now see by yourself using the loan count, those who are borrowed and those who have not borrowed. So all these people that are having a count of 0 have never borrowed a book. They are members of that library. They registered, but they have never borrowed a book. That's why you see their loan counts to be 0. The first time they of issue is also null. Why? They have never borrowed, so they can never be an issue date, right? So if we use an inner join, I just want us to practicalizing most of the things we're doing. If we use here, we run it, we'll see the outputs. So you can see that the only outputs are those that have borrowed books. It will not output people who have never borrowed books, because the inner join, what it does is pull out people who are common in both tables. And in this case, the only people that can be common in both tables are those who have actually borrowed. Why? Because their data is going to be stored in the issue table and their data is already in the members table. I don't know if you are getting the logic, so that you know when to use the left join and inner join or right join. So this thing is correct the way it is here, so that over here I can do my limits. Say I want to see the top 20 borrowers or top 5. 20 is too much. I want to see the top 5 borrowers. So now it's telling me that these are the top 5 borrowers having a count of 5, 7, 6, and 5, right? So these are the people who borrowed books most. You might decide to now make their experience beautiful by giving them discounts or anything of that sort, or telling them that if they refer or if they borrow more books, there's actually more discount for them because they are trying to make profits. So if you still do the same thing on left join, you will still receive the same answer. These are still the top 5 borrowers because you've been limited, right? So that is for that question. So now you can actually export this table, your output here. You can export it. Then the chart you can create from this table, you can create a bar chart. I can create a line chart. Line chart will show you the period of times that this thing happens, like what period of time did this borrowing occur most. So there will be a line chart to display the continuity. It will use the first issue date and the last issue date, and maybe their borrow counts, right? Then your bar chart will display these members and the number of times they have borrowed books. That will be your bar chart. So over here, I can click on my export, and I would name it top members, top 5 borrowers, top 5 members by borrow count, right? Yeah. So it's already a CSV file. So why you are doing this is that if you don't export this thing, your output, Excel to do visualization, you start from the beginning to start using pivot table to understand your results, to understand your problems, do summary and all of that. But when you export, you can just go ahead to do visualization once you get to Excel. You don't need to repeat the same steps. So that's why I encourage you export your data. If you don't want to export, you can actually start the whole project afresh from Excel. So the next question. Oh, our time is up. Oh. So the next question. So we'll do this question, and then I believe you know how to do your bar charts, create your visualization and your dashboard in Excel. We've covered that extensively, right? So this should give you a very good idea. Then all of these things you are doing is what you are required to do in your project, nothing more, nothing less. And that's a very good start for an intermediate data analyst. The main thing is, are you able to solve a business problem? Do you understand the problem you're trying to solve? How can you be of use to that business, right? Because anybody can Google the queries, anybody can Google it, anybody can search it. But what separates you is you adding value, answering key business questions. If you think those questions that are contained in your assignments are not answering business questions, please go ahead, generate more questions as much as possible to solve your project. We are looking for people who can think outside the box because you're going to do a presentation. So I want to see that your project is solving a problem, right? If you go through the questions and the project, you see that the projects are not just anyhow data sets. I actually took my time to see that most of these projects are things that are related to real world scenarios. So we want to see your A games. So I want to see this question, return and return rate analysis. So after this one, we can end the class. Problem C. I actually have another meeting in the next 15 minutes. I have a meeting. Okay, so we need to be fast. Okay. So this question is, what percentage of issued books are returned? Which books or members have the highest return count? What is the average loan duration to return? That's a lot of questions. Okay, let's quickly go through. Select the return ID. Return ID, the issued ID. I'll just be putting their alias immediately so we don't come back. The issued member ID. Issued book ISBN. I need the issued date. Done date. Okay, so these are the things I need. And I also need, I want to use this function, dated if. So dated if it's, yeah, this function. This function, what it does is to show the difference between two dates. So I want to show the difference between the return date and issue date. The date the books was issued and the date it was returned. So that's what dated it does for you. It returns the the number of the duration between two dates. So first of all, we are picking it from return table, which will give an alias return status table, which will give an alias of R, and we join it with issues. We join with issues, which will give an alias of I on issued ID. Okay, so when we run this, so these are all the things, the questions we are trying to answer. So this is the return ID, the issue, these are the members, these are the books that they borrowed. This is the date that they were issued that book, and this is the date that they returned that book. So this is having a minus, meaning there should be something wrong. How is having a minus? Between March and June, March and May 2024. Okay, yeah, so this is a data entry error, right? It's saying that the book was issued in 2024 and was returned in 2023, which is not correct. It cannot be, right? Your book cannot be issued in 2024 and you're returning to 2023. That's like going backwards. So in this case, what you start doing is to go back to your issued table and check your dates and try to fix the error, maybe by changing this to 2023, because it should be 2023, right? So with this now, you can, the question is the return rates. So you can do the average of this difference to know the number of days that these books are returned. Maybe when you do an average, I can't do an average on this value because they are wrong. I'm having minus. If you do an average, you will see maybe 56 days. Then you would know that on the average, it takes them 10 days to return books that they have borrowed. If that days is not okay for you, you can actually adjust it. Maybe make it 5 days. That's where you see that maybe you go to library and they tell you you cannot borrow this book and last more than 1 week in your hands. Maybe they have reviewed the return rates of the books that are being borrowed. Maybe people don't even return books till after 1 year, and it's not good for the company or your management, right? These questions are not hard. Do you have any questions? It's just a matter of understanding the questions and then writing. All the things we are doing here are we've not even used subquery. So you can answer, you can do your project with just knowledge of select statement, knowledge of order by, knowledge of join. Join is very important. Knowledge of join. Do how to do aliasing, right? If you don't know how to do aliasing, this thing we are doing here, arrow dots, return rates, will be strange to you because you don't know how to do aliasing. So if you can just go back to the videos and just calm down your mind, learn your select statement. That's the basic, the foundation. Select statements. Learn how to do group buy, learn how to do order buy, learn how to do joins. When do you used to do left join, right join? Then only on rare cases will you be required to do subquery, at least for this our project. But then you need to learn it. Subquery, um ranking. Yes, there are people that their questions touched on ranking because we actually treated ranking. Everything we've taught in the class from basics to intermediate level is what is covered. So that's why you are in groups. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask your group member. You can Google it, right? Excuse me. Research on why things are happening the way they are. So the way this thing is now, I can export it, and if I export it, there are so many bar charts, there are so many visualization I can create from here. I can create a line chart from here. I can create a bar chart from here. I can also create what is it called, a donut chart from here, just to see the composition of maybe the top borrowers. So with that, you can do your dashboard, make it as interactive and beautiful as possible. And that will bring us to the end of today's class and the end of Excel for data analysis. So I'm going to check if we are going to be having more class, just so that we can introduce Python before the boot camp is over. But if it's not possible, this might be the end of our class. We might have to gather again just to do an overall recap of everything we've covered for this whole weeks that we've been together, right? So maybe you can go on your own and then bring up your questions and then come back with it. You can tackle it. I'll have to, even if it's not during the week, I might bring out one of the Saturdays. We'll come together and do a general revision of our issues, right? So I'm trying to check the chat to see if there's any question. I need to be off now because I have another meeting, right? Okay. So there's no question. What happens to negatives? Yes, that's what I'm saying. That this is something you need to work on. You need to go back to your tables and do that. Manually correct it. Or if this is a real scenario, you ask the team, why is this thing like this? Because it's a data entry error. Somebody that was entering the data made mistake. Instead of choosing 2023, they chose 2024. How possible? I'm sorry that I've not made these videos. I'm uploading the ones for the previous class now to the YouTube. This one by tomorrow. Please, anybody that is here, if I don't upload it, please tag me. I should do it by this night. Please. It's just escaping me. The videos are quite recorded. Just to upload it. So I'll do that now. And we're drawing the curtains now. Thank you all for joining the class. I really appreciate all of us that have been really consistent. I'm serious. Like Sarah, Adakole, Hafsa, Ami, like you guys are so wonderful. Like I don't even know how to, like, if people can be consistent through everything. Business feel sick and they still come here and we try to like learn one or two, right? I'm so proud of you guys. I'm so proud of you all. Really, really so proud. Okay, yeah, I'll be ending the call now. Good night.